Emergency alert of an imminent missile threat from North Korea turned out to be a false alarm, creating momentary panic among residents and tourists in the U.S. state of Hawaii.
People in Hawaii, thousands of people receiving an emergency alert on their phones just a short time ago. The warning heading, quote, ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. About 10 minutes after the alert was sent out, Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard confirmed the warning was fake.
Hawaii emergency officials say the alert was a mistake, but it's unclear how or why it was sent. Hawaii has been beefing up security measures, as you know, amid rising nuclear threats with North Korea. The state tested its warning sirens last year for the first time.
38 minutes later, a second message was sent confirming there was no missile threat or danger and that the first message was a false alarm. Reuters reports President Donald Trump was playing golf in Florida at the time. He was reportedly briefed on the alert. Hawaiian authorities told NHK that it's unclear what caused the error and they are investigating.
Former communications director at the U.S. mission to the UN, a friend of ours here at Fox News. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, Laura. Pleasure being here.
All right. So I just want to get your first initial reaction to when you saw just what we all saw on our phones here on the mainland, you know, that there was a false alarm in Hawaii, and you could imagine right away what people were going through. What were your initial thoughts, Jonathan?
You know, it's sad to say, but it was sort of a thought of it's a matter of time until you would have something like this happen. I mean, obviously, a false alarm like this is completely unacceptable, and we have to get to the bottom of what transpired here and make sure that our systems are tight and capable of pulling off what they're supposed to do for the public. There's obviously a major problem here. But what it is a stark reminder, as the Congresswoman was saying, that we have a couple of crises happening right now that are utterly dangerous. We have a North Korea that is perfecting getting nuclear weapons onto intercontinental ballistic missiles that are capable of causing mass casualties. And Hawaii, just like Japan, and the Japanese, by the way, for months now have been dealing with air raids. They themselves have been dealing with the fear of having a North Korean missile fall out of the sky and hit them, or hit one of their shipping vessels out at sea where some of these missiles have come down. These are real problems that need to be addressed.
Absolutely. Now, somebody who, as we all know here at Fox, has been following world affairs for as long as you have and the time you've spent over at the United Nations, you know, what do you foresee happening in the coming weeks, in the coming days, as reaction to this? Because it's obviously, as the Congresswoman said, and you said, that the reality of this threat is real, and she said there is no more time to waste. What could we see happening in these next few days and weeks? Hopefully
this will cause some more stirrings and impetus to get things done more rapidly, to try to move things along, to try to get a negotiated settlement with the North Koreans, if that's at all possible. I mean, obviously, Kim Jong-un is not the most easy person to deal with. He is at the center of the current crisis. He's the man who's threatening our citizens at the moment, and why people are living in fear in Hawaii and other parts of the world because of his erratic behavior and his set development of these nuclear weapons to ensure his survival and the survival of his dastardly regime. So we need to move on these things very rapidly. Hopefully we'll get more traction at the United Nations, but ultimately it comes down to us and our policy and how we're going to handle the North Koreans, because it really is a problem between our two nations and trying to resolve this. There are some positive signs that we've seen with the South Koreans and talking about the Olympics, but that's small potatoes compared to what we're dealing here with in terms of a nuclear threat to our citizens.
Sarah Seidner's just been speaking to the governor of Hawaii. Sarah, what did you get?
So the question to him was, how did this happen? And that's what everybody wants to know. He also did mention that not only was a text sent out, but there were those, and we were all familiar with that, when the television and the radio beeps out that sound that this is an emergency alert. That also happened. And so he is saying, look, I am down at the emergency management area where this all happened. There was a shift change, the governor said, And during that shift change, it was a routine shift change, someone accidentally, and this is how he put it, pressed the wrong button. And that sent out the alert, not only to cell phones, but also the emergency alert to television stations, as well as the radio stations. They immediately tried to get on the phone with the radio and television stations to tell them that this was a false alarm. But it took a while for them to deal with the text as well. I think there was also a reaction because, of course, he himself did not know whether this was real or not. So he took it upon himself to go down to the emergency management with Vern Miyagi, who's the administrator, and try to sort out what exactly was going on. Now, they do realize this has caused confusion, this has caused fear. They are trying to get to the bottom of how this happened and trying to figure out how to make sure that it never happens again. But they have been proactive in the fact that they have been testing. They are the first state in the country to test their sirens, which, by the way, they had not used since the end of the Cold War. So we're talking, 20, 30 years ago. And at this point, they're saying, look, yes, they have egg on their face. This should not have happened. But they are trying to figure out what to do in case and to be prepared in case there is such an attack. And that, globally what's happening with our president, the president of the United States, and Kim Jong-un of North Korea, that tension has ratcheted up. But they indeed started looking at this several months before things got as intense as they have. For example, when the fire and fury comment was made by President Trump, I happened to be inside of that bunker, and the reaction inside the bunker was, oh, my goodness. Mm-hmm. So, the danger is, of course, and what everyone has been talking about, when tensions get high, sometimes mistakes are made. But this, they said, was, look, someone literally pressed the wrong button.
So just to be clear, Sarah, then the governor seems to be explaining that this was not some kind of hack. This was not an instance like that. This was actually a human error of some kind.
Exactly. He said it was a mistake made during a standard procedure at the changeover of a shift, and an employee pushed the wrong button. That is exactly how he put it.
Upon authorization of the Supreme Leader of the party, State and Army Kim Jong-un, the chairman of the Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of the country made public the following stand of the DPRK on the 3rd, on an official stand of the South Korean Blue House and the address of President Moon Jae-in at the State Council meeting concerning the DPRK proposal on the dispatch of its delegation to the Pyeongchang Olympic Games. Kim Jong-un, chairman of the State Affairs Commission of the DPRK, reported of the fact that the South Korean Blue House announced official support and welcome to his stand on the DPRK's participation in the Pyeongchang Olympic Games and the issue of improvement of the inter-Korean relations clarified by himself in the New Year address. And President Moon Jae-in expressed full support at the first State Council meeting and instructed the field concerned to take practical measures, highly appreciated them and expressed welcome. Noting that the DPRK delegation's participation in the Pyeongchang Olympic Games proposed by himself in the New Year address and inter-Korean talks between the authorities to this end are a meaningful and favorable first step for the improvement of North-South relations at present, he gave detailed instructions for the United Front Department of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, the Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of the country of the DPRK government, the National Sports Guidance Committee, and other units concerned to take practical measures without delay with a positive and sincere stand, together with the South Korean authorities. He also instructed that the Panmunjom Liaison channel should be opened from 15 hours on January the 3rd, so that the issue on the dispatch of the delegation to the Olympic Games and the issue of holding talks can be discussed with the South side in time. He stressed that whether the issue of improvement of inter-Korean relations on the order of the day is solved in accordance with the expectation and desire of the entire nation entirely depends on how responsibly the North and the South Korean authorities handle the issue. Following the intention of the Supreme Leadership, we'll take close relations with the South side with a positive stand and sincere attitude, and discuss the practical issues concerning the dispatch of our delegation. We wish you once again success of the Pyeongchang Olympic Games.